Okay, so now...
You've got to crush the bark so you can pull it out of your net.
Oh, you're right. I should be using them. If I was a comp angler, I would have to use barbie sticks.
Make it easy to get out of the back of your ear or your neck.
Now we're going to move on to the next group. And there's something special about these, and there's something quite different between these and mayflies. And the difference is this. They have what's called metamorphosis. In other words, they lock themselves up in a little in their little chamber or house, and they transform themselves into a pupa. Mayflies don't do that, nor do dragonflies, for example. And that's what's called an incomplete life cycle for a mayfly. Caddises, or sedges as they're called in England, they have what's called a complete life cycle because they have metamorphosis. So the egg comes down, they form all kinds of houses here, depending on the variety, and then once they've metamorphosized, if there's such a word, the pupa pops out. Now, they rocket towards the surface, and they're off and away. It's not like a mayfly. It's going to hang around for ages, and the trout can just take their time. Not with these. So the rise forms for a caddis pupa, for example, are quite splashy and fast. They're quite splashy and fast. And then we have the adult that flies off. The antenna of a caddis, the drawing's wrong here because what happens is they actually stream all the way back over the back of the fly, and it looks like a tail. And it fools you a little bit because you think, oh, it looks like a mayfly because there's these tails out of the back, but it's not. It's the antenna that stick out of the back of the fly. Now, the thing that's interesting about them as well, there are surface egg layers, as we have here, and there are subsurface egg layers who crawl underwater and lay their eggs. Okay, they crawl underneath. And this is quite interesting here. We have those that make cases, like these, they make a case. There are those that spin nets. And there are those also just free living, swimming around the place. And we tend to imitate all of them. So there's your caddis, there's the cycle. That's a photograph of one I took at Ravine at Yarrambilly in 2008. And you're able to see here, it's like a fingerprint as he was poking his head. And then, have a look at this, they chop up, in this case, they chop up pieces of vegetable matter to form their case. And this is what we call a peeping caddis. So we imitate these peeping caddis continuously when we tie a caddis stick. And depending on we'll call it a variety if you like, here's one, you see he's peeping here, see his legs and head, but he's chopped it up completely into an amorphous mass. And here we have a favourite. Here is the hydropsyche, the free swimming one. And when they tumble in the water, they look like that. They actually curl in the water. So it's a bit like the centipede or a human in the fetal position. Okay? So that's how they look uncurled, and that's how they look curled. Interesting to note that there's a scud, there's a shrimp, there's a caseless, free-swimming caddis. Oh, look, and there's a check nymph. What do you know? What do you know? Because we do know that, in Europe you've got these great big wide streams of very long rivers. Perfect territory for net builders as these are.
Dave, just one question about caddis. When people tie caddis nymphs, you usually see people using green as the hot spot, but I noticed that all of the caddis that you've shown there appear to be yellow.
It's interesting, isn't it? I've caught caddis from the stomach of trout on the McLaughlin, for example, near Nimittabell. And the colour of the heads was fluoro green, fluoro lime green.
Yep.
So they tend to vary from lime green to yellow, whatever it is.
Right.
Peter Hayes, in order to get the movement of the caddis, he uses a strip of rubber glove as the peeping head, because it can move around the water a little bit, you see, so it looks like a moving head. This one I thought was quite interesting because here we've got a mud-eye that would normally eat these, because a mud-eye, of course, eats meat. That's a meat eater. A mud-eye, incidentally, we'll come to them in a minute. That's the nymphal form of a dragonfly, and they eat these guys, but this was actually attacking the mud-eye. He's streaking all around the little pond I have there, and he's actually attacking it. In Japan, if you mix honey and I should imagine some soy and roast them up, that's called zazamushi. And it's very delicious, I think, and they're all caddis larvae, as you can see.
Yummy.
There's a Japanese hoeing into them. There's a lot of caddises. Various imitations. You know, fly line for a stick there, gluing things on top here. Peeping here, of course, just a piece of pheasant tail. Pheasant tail also represent legs. This one was quite interesting. On the cricket pitch shore of Little Pine Lagoon, I was having no luck at all with a friend of mine there. This was with Ronnie, and the water was only that deep, and we were having no luck at all. And one of the locals that lives in one of the huts, he came down and started to catch fish. And this was we asked him, can I have your fly? Can I have one of those, please? And this was the caddis he was using, just a couple of beads representing the head. A little bit of a flash on the tail, with a bit of peacock curl. And it's quite small, it's about a 16 hook, quite small.
Do we get the caddises here that use the sand as
Yes,
gravel? Sand
and
gravel?
here's one here. Here's one here. Now this is a cave creek at Blue Water Holes up in the mountains, and the water that comes out of the springs there, I think the caddises just love them. So look at them all over the rocks, look. All over the rocks. All those dots of taste. And one of the best imitations is this one here. It was given to Steve Samuels by a farmer in Bathurst. Don't know who it is, but it's a great imitation where you tie rubber bands onto the hook to simulate rocks. And it's a great technique for sliding materials up and down the thread to drill you on doing that. You can also use some super glue and roll it in sand if you want to, and match the colours of the substrate. Obviously, these critters, they use whatever material of the locality that they're in. So you won't find, rocky rapids with a case builder using bits of stick. You'll find these guys. So there's a close-up there. Generic cased imitation there. That's not a bad one for a free swimmer. Now here you can see there's one inside here, and what they do, they build a web and they catch food in it. It's actually a net for catching food. That's what they do. It's a net builder, and these are, of course, the classic check nymphs. And then they actually close up the net to pupate. So it's a net builder.
So they're catching detritus floating down the river, or?
Oh yeah.
Detritus.
Yeah. So again, there's your classic check. And that one is actually, that was mailed to me from Jan Seaman, the Czech Republic. It's one of his. It's one of his. And here's a couple here that I've happened to tie over the years. Foam one. the double body one there. Here's your classic Pupas. You can see we rarely ever fish those, to be frank. Bit of fun to tie. But I don't know anybody that madly reaches for Pupas.
Great to swing in a caddis hatch.
Yes, yeah. Well, obviously, as soon as the nymph comes up and they're coming up in a hurry, the nymph, the trout will go berserk. There's another one there, for example. Pupa, the bead. And we've got a variety here just to show you. You see this one here, square box. It's like a coffin, it's actually square, like a coffin. Here's one here with the chopped pieces. Another one with the chopped bits. Here's a sand builder here, where they use sand. Here's another one with chopped bits and pieces of detritus there. Another one here you can see. That's one that I photographed, that I caught. Interestingly, the photograph I took there from the Gumgala, that one is from the USA. So they're a bit like giraffes with their body prints, evidently. And there's all sorts of imitations for peeping caddises. Some people, they weight them, like they put lead on one end, but we still have this characteristic peeping dot of yellow or lime green.
That would have to be one of the most effective flies, that caddis with the yellow head on it on little pine, especially for tailors.
Yes, yeah.
Especially for tailors, but just free drift them. Free drift the
Yeah.
caddis only shallow, 2-3 foot of water. Just put the free drift caddis down. You got a brand.
And there's the classic, as I said, I'm sort of lining them up here, but clearly a check nymph is really a net spinner, that's what it is. And when they're rolling down the rapids, they curl. So it's best to tie them on a curved hook. We move on to the adults, of course. There's the old classic elk hair caddis. Bit of skill required in tying these. You've got to have nice loose gathering wraps here, loose gathering wraps there, binding wraps in the middle, loose gathering wraps, otherwise you have a bad hair day. So there's a snowflake, and we have there's quite a number of these in Australia, as you know. There's the real McCoy, and there's a copy. And what I've done there, I've used Arundel Park, Tukey sheep hair. Remember when we had Arundel Park as a club? And the Kurtzes used to grow sheep hair for carpets. And it's far superior, I believe, to elk hair. And a characteristic, this is a photograph from fly stream. I would guarantee here that there's no wind. As soon as there's a slight puff of wind, they disappear into the tree. They all go. Now here's one here. I was fishing with John, in fact, and we had a tripod up, and there's a small trout, and you see just a gathering of them there, and they're dropping out of the tree above. Anyway, the little trout jumping out to grab them, and do you think I was able to get the shot? I could not get that shot. But again, as soon as there's a puff of wind, bang, straight in. And probably, I don't know what your ages are here, but you've probably heard the Shannon Rise. That was all snowflake caddises, killed dead when they put that third wall up on the Great Lake, unfortunately. And it is no more, other than the name of a lodge, I think, in Tassie. So,
sorry, Dave. What nuclear stage do the snowflakes take? They're what are they in there?
I'm not sure. I asked the question to Mick Hall once, and I said, do they lay their eggs on top, or do they crawl underneath? He reckons that they lay their eggs underwater, that they crawl underneath and lay their eggs. But I must admit, I do have an excellent book that I need to study here in order to line up which adults go with which nymphs. Because I'm sure if you're an entomologist, you say, oh, there's a square one, that's the such and such adult. There's a book by Taft Price on sedges, and it's almost a biblical work on that, but I don't know in answering your question on that one. But certainly the shapes of the cases do indicate a different, not species, or variety. We use the word variety.
Seeing the classic elk hair caddis, some people tie it with an arm and section through the body, and some tie it without. Is there a reason for that, or are they two different imitations?
The classic tie for one of these is a very lightly dubbed body, but it has a palmed hackle.
Yeah.
It's normally a palmed hackle. This one here I've done for, in fact, I was doing it for another exercise altogether, because I wanted to show the difference between skill levels in tying them. So I've got another one that's absolutely identical to this, but it's a bad hair day, because I pull down tight on everything. It's all kind of sprung. You know, it's one of those. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to tie a peeping stick caddis. Doing okay for time at the stage? Okay. Nice. Oh yes, we'll do a switch for you. Here we go. When you're tying, it's best to have a background that's white, and so you're looking down onto a surface that's white to give you some contrast. So,
What size are they tying, Dave?
this I'm going to tie this one on a. This would be a. It's not a 14, it'd be a 12, depending on the type of hook. I thought it'd make it a bit easier for me tonight as well.
So do you have a variety of sizes all the way from 12 down to 16 to 18, or?
Well, I've seen some enormous ones
Yeah,
for
some of them
sale
really.
in Tasmania, like size 8s, large things.
Yeah.
But I think if you're on Little Pine, I'd be using 14s max, down to a 16, I would suggest. By the way, I'm wearing a blue shirt so you're able to see the fly.
Oh, these green shirts. Okay.
What's that stuff, Dave?
Now this is braid, woven braid.
Kuddebrod or whatever it's
Well,
called?
no, it's actually hens.
Oh, okay.
The check one.
Okay.
Hens braid, and I love this because it's got the colour's right. It's got that real greeny appearance. Note, folks, I'm about to apply a pinch wrap, which you won't be able to see. I'm sort of edging it forward here.
Have you just burnt the end of that yourself?
Yes, just a cigarette lighter, burning it to form a knob. I can make it really attractive if I dipped it in some black nail polish or paint. That'll look extra good. Note, with scissors, I'm gonna cut them. It doesn't matter a great deal here, but when you're learning to tie flies, either you're going to put the scissors in like that or like that. So I'm going to cut this at a flat angle so that I end up with a ramp That makes sense. Okay. And now I'm just going to, this one's unweighted to be ideal for the cricket pitch on Little Pine Lagoon. And we're going to use some Peacock Hurl. Peacock Hurl's marvellous stuff. Used on a lot of flies. Covers a multitude of sins. And as I advance the thread forward here, I'm thinking don't crowd the head, leave yourself some space there, David. So now I'm just going to, it wouldn't matter all that much even if I palmer this. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring my thread back up because I want to reinforce the body. Here we go. So we'll just, again, those people say, oh, well, the rotary advice, you do that a lot quicker. Made a rot for my own back here. Waggling through. Waggling back through. Just to reinforce it. Waggling back through. Waggling back through. Waggling back. I'm nearly there. Waggling back through. And there I have it. And again, just in case you are learning to whip finish, the key is this. You'll notice they spin. They spin. You have to stop the spin by putting your thumb on it. So there's my thumb on the spin, to stop the spin. And we chant this on fly tying nights. Taut thread, and we say hook down, hook down, hook down, hook down. Then you say it again over and over, hook down, so everybody will remember. You say hook down 100 times again. Then you say hook down, anti-clockwise around the D10. Hook down, anti-clockwise around the D10. Hook down, anti-clockwise around the D10. Then we bring it up onto the fly, and guess what you see? A triangle. A right angle triangle. And it's the triangle that rotates around the hook. We take it off, we pull back, and we're done. Your fingers are exactly the same. Boy Scout salute, fingers on top, and guess what we have here? Look, a triangle. There's the triangle. Now when I turn, I have to climb over the vise here. I've got a problem. But what I do, I just turn my fingers inside the loop to reform the triangle. So round, triangle, round, triangle, whoops, and we are done. So there you have it. So there is a very fishable. He's certainly having a big peep though, he's sticking out a fair way. Okay, well now I'm going to move